Welcome to Space at Signum University. Space is our adult continuing education program that connects lifelong learners like yourself all over the world. This is our highlight reel where we share some of our upcoming classes with you. These are just a few of the amazing modules we offer each month. We look forward to seeing you in space.
Man kenuva lumbor a hostar, menel a cuna, ruxal ambonar, ear amortala, andume hakala, enwina lume, elinolor pella, taltala, atalantie min donar, man tinurva rakina kiria, ondilose morne nufaria rukina, Ana purie tihta axor il kalana, metim oriesse, man kenuva, metim andune. Oh, well, if you're anything like me, you're going to love reading through more of Tolkien's poetry. That was Oilima Markiria, or The Last Ark, which is a poem that has not been very much studied, except, of course, if you're going to study it with us. I'm going to spend the next few months, quite a lot of months, talking about the brand new anthology that we have just had published. It's coming out any day now, that contains so much of Tolkien's poetry, including poems that I've never seen before, and I'm so looking forward to reading them and reading them with you. Come and join me, and let's talk about Tolkien's poetry. In this course, we will have special guest appearances. We will have James Tauber, the one and only James Tauber, coming to talk to us about all the nuts and bolts and technicalities of the poetic forms that Tolkien uses. And we will also have special lectures from none other than Corey Olsen. So what are you waiting for? Come and join me. It's going to be great.
Hello, my name is Robert. I'll be offering a module called Exploring Say Shonagon's Pillow Book. And let me tell you, this is a delightful book to read and to explore. Say Shonagon was a Heian era Japanese court lady, and she kept a diary of her experiences in the court and in other aspects of her life, called the Pillow Book. However, the Pillow Book is much more than simply a diary. It is generally considered to be a literary masterpiece. It explores the highs and lows of human experience. Say it could be quite cutting, witty, maybe even a little bit mean or naughty on occasion in the things that she writes, but she also shows great compassion and great depth of reflection in much of what she writes. We get insight into Heian era court life, religious practices, food that people are eating, architecture, kind of the whole gamut of culture through the perception of this very, we might say, sensitive court lady. Sei Shonagon's book is one of the most, I think, enjoyable and humorous texts that we can read from this time period. It is generally classed in the same category as Murasaki Shikibu's The Tale of Genji, or the Genji Monogatari, although the tone and purpose of it are quite different. So anyway, if any of this sounds attractive to you, interesting, please consider joining our module. We'll do a careful reading of this text, and I think in keeping with the overall tone of the text itself, our conversations will alternate between being humorous and sometimes a little bit more serious. So come along. I look forward to working with any and everyone who would like to, and hopefully this will run before too much longer.
Tolkien often said that his world of Middle-earth was really an exercise in linguistic aesthetic. At least, it began that way, and it never really ceased to be about language. In Letter 205, writing to his son Christopher, Tolkien said, Nobody believes me when I say that my long book is an attempt to create a world in which a form of language agreeable to my personal aesthetic might seem real. But it is true. An inquirer, among many, asked what The Lord of the Rings was all about, and whether it was an allegory. And I said it was an effort to create a situation in which a common greeting would be Ellen Sila Lumen Omentielmo. However, very few people outside a handful of devoted fanatics actually take Tolkien at his word and launch into a study of his languages. The languages, after all, gave birth to the stories that moved us all in the first place. And among his languages, none is as developed and rich in content as Quenya, his elf Latin, spoken so movingly by Galadriel in the poem Namarie, and in scattered sources all across the legendarium. So, join us in a deep dive into Tolkien's most fascinating language, and the ways that it reflected and influenced the world that he created. In time, I hope you too can enter into the world in which Ellen Sila Lumen Omentielvo is your common greeting.
Eyo Yazund. Old English, or one Old English phrase for hello, be well, be sound. So I'm here to talk about for a moment the wonders of learning Old English. And telling you, a little of my experience was way back when I was in college, these many, many centuries ago. I was taking a linguistics course, and that's where I got introduced to Old English, studying the history of the English language, and I had just begun to find out who this Tolkien guy was, and the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and how much the language that was Old English and the languages, or some of the languages that are in the Lord of the Rings, resonate with one another, and I got just terribly excited. So I undertook the study of Old English, and here we are. And all these years later, I still love it. So let me introduce to you an ongoing series of advanced readings in Old English, and advanced simply because we're not using a beginner's textbook or anything like that, but sitting down with a text or part of a text, each module, to read Old English. And for many of us, including myself, this also means looking up a lot of vocabulary from time to time. But the idea is to familiarize ourselves and read what is available in Old English. And so sometimes we read some things that are really well known and are typical in an Old English class at a university or college. Things like Beowulf or the Wanderer, from the Poetic tradition, but we also read things from the prose tradition. And so we've read Apollonius of Tyre, and we'll probably revisit that text at some point. We've read some homilies, and we've read some other prose texts, and there's many more that we haven't. We haven't really delved much into law codes or charters or the medical books or anything like that. But there's a lot to choose from. And so each month, each individual module, alternating between poetry and prose, we take on a new text and see how far we get. There is no rush. There's no need to rush. So we go at the pace of the class wants to go at, and we can stop and pause and ponder things and what this word means, or what this context means, or what is making sense. And all those kinds of things. So it is a really, really good time. And we have some really great people, and I invite you to join us.
Hi, I'm Sparrow Alden. On behalf of myself and the other creative writing preceptors in space, welcome to Workshop, the heart of the creative writing sector. You are invited, but never forced, to share a few pieces of your writing during our month together. It might be a character sketch. It might be a scene all the way up to 2,000 words. What we do ask of everyone in Workshop is that you read the work of other people and comment enthusiastically as a reader who is excited to know their story, to encourage your fellow writer, and to use something we call the collaborative feedback method. Always supportive, never criticism. We're readers. We're not professional editors. We're here to love on your story and our own. So please join me. I'm so looking forward to reading your story.